It's so tiny. Efficiency mode. Full charge mode. Your vehicle is designed to operate using 2 charging modes. That's awesome. I didn't remember asking. This is a f***ing 90s Honda. Ain't no 2 charging modes. Alright guys, so in today's video of the Honda, I told you guys I was going to do it. I fibbed a little bit, not on purpose, but because I thought I was going to do an auxiliary battery. It turns out for what I want to do, it doesn't make sense. I want to get this little battery right here. I want to get it out of the engine bay, no matter what. And I've done a ton of these. I've done them a couple different ways. I watched a tutorial on a few other guys. Like I was curious on how guys do these. And I keep these things in stock. These are just little pegs for, you know, wherever you want to put them. We're not going to use these. I'm going to show you guys today how I would do a battery relocation. And I like doing wiring. I like making things look factory. So we got a set of RCAs from Amazon. I got a set of fucking battery terminals that are, I don't know, they're weird as shit looking, but you know what? They're battery terminals. And then 40 feet of 0 gauge wire with the crimps. I've been buying the shit out of the crimps. I'll show you when I can get it out of there. There we go. With the crimps. So, what we're gonna do, unfortunately, I'm gonna lose my radio settings. I understand you can get the tool that you plug into the radio or the OBD port and it saves your battery settings when you unhook the battery. Personally, I don't care. I'm just gonna, you know what I mean? Like, fuck it. I'm gonna reset everything because I don't care enough to keep all that. So, first thing we're gonna do is get this battery and battery tray out of here, get the positive out, get the negative out, and figure out where we're gonna start. I already know how I'm gonna map this out. I know exactly the way I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna show you guys how we're gonna do it. But first things first, I'm gonna say, hopefully I'm recording. Get this battery out of here, and then I will show you what we're gonna do with these posts here, because anything to do with this battery terminal down to the starter and over to the fuse box, we're gonna get rid of it. These will not exist anymore in here. Same thing with this ground here. We're getting rid of that, and I will show you why. I haven't even gotten in here yet, and I've already found that that is, that's loose. So, not like it's gonna matter. We're gonna get rid of this ground, get rid of the ground that goes down there, and I'll show you what we're gonna do to them. But let's get the positive off. Is that a 10? It is. So let's get those out of here. Get these out of here. And yeah, let's pull this battery out of here. There we go. Oh, I can do this one-handed. There's a thing here. There we go. Now, we can take these bolts out. Looks like they are 12s. And then we got to get rid of this bracket here. So, and get rid of all that. All right, got the tray out. 4 bolts. 5 bolts actually, this bolt right here, and we're going to do away with this thing because obviously this wire is going away and this wire is going away, so the only thing that'll be sitting here is this one. Don't worry, we'll put something around there to keep that sturdy, but this whole blocker right here is, we're going to get rid of it. And then this, there is 2 bolts somewhere, got to find them, but that holds this on, so we're going to get rid of that as well. And then we can come in here and get rid of this thing, because we don't need that either. So that's an unnecessary evil. That was for the, there's a valve in the intake that we get rid of that silences it. So it's unplugged and nothing in the ECU tells it that it needs to be plugged in. So we got rid of it. So this one's pretty easy. There's 2 brackets here. One ties the ground into the transmission. One ties the starter wire up to the starter and then splits off up into this guy right here. So we're gonna undo that one. That one's a, let's just grab the screwdriver out and we'll take care of that. Looks like we got a little bit of corrosion there. We'll take care of that. That should be somewhere in the main harness. Actually, I'm pretty sure that one's probably the alternator wire right here, which we'll take care of that in a little bit. I'm gonna show you guys what upgrades we're gonna do. So I'm not just gonna leave the wiring stock after sending everything to the back. I'll show you guys when we get there, but I'm gonna undo that next. Just trying to show you guys how simple this stuff is. And then it also looks like that wire comes into here. So don't worry, we're gonna take care of all of that. That'll be pretty easy. So what I recommend you guys doing is keeping this for reference just in case you fuck something up. Ground, positive, up to the fuse box, down to the other fuse box. One of these I thought was for the ABS. Yeah, ABS motor. So that's right here. Check them fuses, make sure I don't have anything blown, because I do have an ABS light on because of this bastard right here. So I got to go get one of them, but that part is literally 500 bucks, and this car I paid 800. I'd rather have wheels. You know what I mean? So next step, get this thing down there. Those look like 12s. All right, so we have literally everything out that we need to get out, and we got this little box out. Like I said, that was for the silencer in the intake. The bracket's gone. This ground, that little ground is all gone, all that stuff. So all we're gonna be reusing is that. Put that back on. This is gonna go in there. This is gonna go back on. All of this stuff here is gone. You can say it's a weight savings, but we're gonna be adding in a ton of extra wire, and I have a subwoofer. So the goal here isn't, I don't really give a shit about weight, to be honest. That's not why I'm doing this. Now, there's two ways you can do this. You can come in here and add these little nub things. You can put the positive right here and the negative right here and make them go to that. We're not gonna do that. I'm gonna find a common spot. I'm gonna take this, ground it to here, take that, ground it to there, and then I'm gonna ground the battery at the back. We're gonna run the positive from the battery up to the starter, and then from the starter up to there. That is gonna be our common point. This is gonna be the stubby. The reason I don't like the idea of just putting a positive somewhere, even if it's hidden and out of the way, that's still a spot that the battery comes through. And realistically, there is more than enough thread on here. Like, there is a ton of thread. So it's not a problem. And this will be our stubby. And then also at the same time, I will reuse this cover right here. So that way it at least looks factory. And they give you plenty of different sizes, like that size right there will be perfect for that. So I am gonna go start making a wire and then figure out the way that I want to make this go to the back. And we'll see how it comes out, but I wanna make it as neat and clean as possible. And keep in mind, guys, this car is not getting an AC delete. It's not getting an ABS delete, no power steering delete, none of that shit. I'm not worried about that at all. Even though we're going with the turbo, I have a guy, a buddy of mine, who can make me an unequal length manifold. So we'll probably have the turbo sit up high, just somewhere where it's out of the way of the AC. We're not getting rid of the AC. We're not relocating everything. Wastegate out the hood, and then a dump back to the exhaust and get rid of the cat. And we're gonna do a bottle style resonator. And then at that time, I'm also gonna paint the entire exhaust, get it cleaned off and all this and that. And we're gonna put that battery right around this area here. Or, I mean, hell, we could even put the battery right there. I don't know yet. I haven't decided. All right, so we got the piece made right here. Obviously not done. I didn't get loom. I really wish I did. So what I think I'm gonna do now, because obviously this is gonna be worthless and I'm throwing it in the garbage anyway. This end went to the starter, and then this end went, yeah. Well, we're just gonna cut this off. You know what I mean? Let's just cut it because it's getting thrown away anyway. I'm gonna try to reuse this going up and then probably this onto the starter. We'll see how it goes. All right, so it's been a minute since I started filming. We got the grounds cleaned off right there. We have one run down to the transmission. There was supposed to be a thing for that, and I don't know, I don't remember where that went. But, oh, it's this one, that's why. Yeah, this is supposed to have a thing. So we'll probably zip tie those up somehow. I reused the ground here, and like I said, I reused the wire that goes up to here. It's not gonna be a big deal. We got a nice thick ground to the engine, but I understand that all the bolts and everything, this went to the battery. We are gonna reuse it and run it down there. It's plenty, do that. If it becomes a problem, sure, we'll replace it, but in the meantime, it's not a big deal. So I think when we do the intercooler stuff, when we do the turbo setup, we're just going to end up running down through this hole here. You can see there's no silencer box down there, and all of this has been gutted, so it's just a factory filter. And it sounds like a cold air intake, and it actually is a cold air intake versus the guys that put their filters in the engine bay. But I'm not going to put my filter down here because, as you can see, if you put the filter down here, you're going to spray stuff all over it, and it's just not worth it to me. So next step, we're going to have to run this wire. I don't know if I'm going to run it through the car or under the car. I think I'd rather do it under, so I'm going to have to jack this thing up, but I think 100% we are done up here. And if you want to clean some metal off without destroying your body, just use this. You can use the flap disc if you want, but that's not how we did it. So get this routed, and then I got to figure out where in the back I want to put this battery, because I was thinking about it, and I'm like, yeah, you know, it makes sense to have it there. But at the same time, I'm going to have to pull the carpet up and figure all that out, and then we could deal with stuff back here. So I'm going to pull this up and see what kind of room we have. If I can even throw the battery way back in there, I might do that as well. I don't know. Usually it goes right here. I'd rather it go here because that'll be some extra weight on this side. Not that the battery's heavy at all, but you know what I mean? Every little bit helps. So pull this out. So I found the spot that I like. Make sure that if you're not going to use rib nuts, you know what's on the other side. If you guys look under here, I know, there they are. So we're going to get those holes cleaned up, and then hopefully they reach out on the other side where I can get a nut on the back side. But this is the hardware I chose to go with. I had 4 same bolts and 4 nuts that actually worked out well. So we're going to get those, drill these 2 out, and then we'll get everything cleaned up, throw some paint on it. I also got rid of this bracket here and flap disced in there. Like I said, this is all, we're going to go through this and make it nice one day, but for now, I'm not super worried about it. We're just trying to get the install done, make sure that it works, and then once we know everything works, all of this is going to come out eventually. We're not going to use that drill bit anymore, and go from there. But if you guys didn't see the last video, this is 16 gauge steel. I made that perfect sheet that goes in there. The sub box sits right here, and I think what we're going to end up doing is finding a spot for our wiring to come up through, and I think these grommets will be perfect because I can just drill a hole in the center of that, and our positive wire can go through there. If I can find one up in here somewhere else, I'll do that, but I definitely want to go under the car rather than through the car. So before we do much of anything else, we got all 4 holes drilled. We're going to get those cleaned up, throw a little bit of paint on them, and then obviously there's going to be some overlap here with this. So I'm going to get my positive wire run first, and then what we'll do from there, we'll throw this on there, get everything thrown in there, get that mounted to where I need it to with these 2 holes, and then I will re-drill those holes through. And if you look on the bottom, they all meet up, so I can just put a nut on the bottom, and we are good to go. That actually worked out way better than I thought it was going to. So I'm also going to clean up the bottom side and make sure that there's nothing that can rust. Let's start. I'm going to get this side jacked up. We can start running our positive wire. And if you guys are going to do this, be super fucking careful, because you do not want to strip this bolt in the starter, or you will be buying a new starter. In my case, I got super lucky, and I had a nut in stock that was way thicker than the factory garbage, because this thing, there's literally 2 threads on this nut. So that thing was ready to strip that thing out. So this one has 2 or 3 more threads to it. I think there's like 5 on that one. So no stripping, luckily. And like I said, once we're done, we'll clean all this up and make it nicer, and then throw some paint on those as well. I don't know how much this matters because this is a thin piece here, but it is what it is. And if we have any issues, like I said, we will go through and upgrade the positive wire. But I really don't think we'll have any issues. So this is taking a lot longer than I wanted it to. So I gotta go grab another one of these because I'm gonna put one on the back transmission mount. And then we run our way along the frame the entire way down to, you'll see right about there, narrowly avoiding the suspension. I'm gonna check that out. Oh yeah, that ain't going anywhere. And then we come back through. There, I'll get under here and show you. We come up there to a grommet. Now again, this is gonna get loomed at some point. I don't know if you guys can see the whole way down. You can't, but that will go, that goes up into a grommet. And then I'm gonna drill out another grommet to go here. You can see it. And then probably just drill a big hole there, because this is the grommet that came out, but I might utilize this one. I don't know. I kind of like these a little bit more, but I mean, we'll see. I got to figure out where we're going to ground everything. Probably do it somewhere in here nicely, but we'll see. We will see. Let's figure out where we're going to put this first. All right, so I kind of figure I'll show you guys what's going on. I have this crimp tool here that allows me to beat the shit out of any of these and then crimp them down, and then we're going to heat gun that. So we are working on the grounds right now, and admittedly, I hate to admit it, this has taken me a lot longer than I thought it was. I thought it was going to take me an hour and a half. I'm probably into this about 3 hours at this point. But you can see we got the metal clean. We got a ground. That's where we're going to put our ground for the for that. And we have that drilled. We're going to get this cleaned up a little bit. There you go, cleaned up. And we have that. So I'm going to get this ground made, put this piece back in, and then figure out where I want this to come up through. Not sure yet how I'm going to do it, but I want to make sure that this doesn't get in the way, and I do not want this to be any part of ground. I want this to be its own separate thing and just not connected to the car, because if for some reason something touches this piece of bare metal, we're going to have problems. So that's not what I want, but we have our positive. I'm going to get that cut to where it needs to, and I also have fuses somewhere over there, I think in one of the boxes. I think I moved it over here. So I already had these guys in stock. I have 2 more of these, and I am going to probably change this to a 100 amp. These were for the diesels, but yeah, because I have a 300 amp chilling right there for the diesel to go from this battery back to this battery, which I have it fused on this side. I thought I had it fused on this side as well. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't have it fused on this side. Whoops. But yeah, so usually that battery's off anyway. I have a switch here. So yeah, see, turn it on, turn it off. So this battery is not connected to the front battery when that's off. So I'm gonna get this thing heat shrunk on here. This is how I'm doing it. I used to use lighters. That's why you guys see in my videos I have a shitload of lighters. But when I can use a heat gun, I'd rather just use a heat gun, because it's been so cold that those lighters just don't do and work how they used to. Look at that. So get that all locked in. We'll get it mounted, and then I'll cut it to length when I'm in there, and then we're just gonna go from the amplifier to the battery, rather than, you know, the other way around, where it's like usually you'll just ground the amp to the ground. No, we're gonna ground it right to the battery, and we have plenty of ground cable to do it. So we have her mounted right up in there. Got to figure out how I want to run everything. The sub box is definitely going in last. We'll get this piece in, wire up the amp, get everything nice and pretty. I want to show you guys how nice of a job we can do. And I also need to take into consideration that this seat folds forward, so I'd like to get a little bit of room there. But one of the big reasons I moved the battery to the trunk was for this, and then a little bit of the reason was it also cleans up the engine bay, and it's going to make it a lot easier when we go to the turbo setup. But wiring an amplifier from back here is going to be way easier than having to run everything from the front, the ground, you know what I mean? So there you go. Either way, we're running something from the front, so I'd rather have a battery back here anyway. So we're also going to get those Anderson cables at some point, and I will run them. I'll put them on the car somewhere. That way I can jumpstart people's cars from back here as well. All right, so you guys don't think I'm lying. I got this side cleaned off, and I did grind down the other side as well, so this is a good ground. We ran it up through here and then here, and this will get sandwiched down when we throw that in here, and then we squeeze it into that. So I've already got the holes painted at the top. I'm going to paint them at the bottom as well, and let's throw this thing in there and see how this fits. All right, that was a pain in the ass. I had to get a longer bolt, suck this side in, but it all fit, and then putting this here kind of made this fit like shit. But we're going to try to put it where the positive is over here and the negative is over here, so that way we can keep this short. But I think it came out pretty clean. You're not going to get this out anymore. We'll probably, once I get the toolbox mounted,
we'll have it mounted on this side perfectly. But in the meantime, it is what it is. All of these bolts are in, and we'll probably use this little tab for something. That's why I didn't get rid of it. But now we can throw this guy in here. Imagine if I did all that effort and it just didn't fit for some reason. And then we go grab the battery. I didn't leave it on concrete, guys, don't worry. Everybody bitches and moans and complains that a battery's on concrete for some reason, but it is what it is. Let's throw this fucker in here. And we're gonna mount it with the positive that way. Mount it just like that. Push those down. It's gonna be tight at first, and then we will grab this fucking thing. I think, yep, goes just like that. There you go. There we go. All right, so here's where we're at. I got that all tightened down. These battery terminals suck. You can't tighten these. Look at that. That's as tight as I can get it, because they give you the nut on the bottom, but it just spins. So I gotta figure that out, because obviously I can't just let that stay like that. And then the wire here, I'm gonna run them together up top and up out of the way, but you gotta give me a minute here because I gotta do all that. So I'll run another one, and then probably, I think I have enough cable left. I'm gonna mount both fuses up here. So one fuse is gonna be in from the car, and one fuse is gonna be for the amp, because even though it's so close, still definitely wanna have a fuse. And I do have 2 of them in stock. So y'all wanna see some fucked up shit. That amplifier, when I put ground to it, both of these are ground. So something is wrong inside this amplifier. I just spent the last 20 minutes, if you guys can see, right there. See that nice little mark right there? And this nice little blown 300 amp fuse. So somewhere along the lines, the battery relocation kit, fine. You know what? There's nothing wrong with that. I was getting ground from this cable here. Like, all of this was ground. I took this off, and then the battery would magically work. But if I would hook this wire up, it would spark like hell. It didn't do that until I hooked the amp up. And when I unhooked the amp and all that. So I'm sitting here with my multimeter. Look at that. That's positive. Somewhere along the lines, this alternator just failed tonight. I don't know if it's because of, let's see here. No, there's volts. There we go. Huh. But if I touch the positive, we have volts. So this wire here was feeding all of this ground, which was sending ground through my power cable. Wow. I even pulled my little skirt up here because I was wondering, I'm like, is this shorting the fuel pump? Because I didn't even realize it. I said that I didn't want to make this a ground, but it is, it's going to be a ground because it goes through the chassis and through the battery stuff. So I'm going to show you guys the problem I was having. So what was ending up happening was, you can see, now, there we go. You can see that wire had ground. So when I'd hook up that fucking thing back there, it would spark. And I'm like, huh, why does my fuse box have ground? So I started pulling wires and this and that and figuring it out. And then it all just led to, we need an alternator. So that fucking sucks, which means I'm stuck here tonight because that doesn't have a drive shaft in it. That doesn't start. That's got an ABS pump missing. And yeah, this won't, yeah, well, no alternator. All right, so everything is hooked up. We have positive, negative, all that. Yeah, so from the front of the car into this first fuse, up to here, out the battery, into the second fuse, which is not there because it is popped. So now we're gonna go do some testing. I'm gonna pull this amplifier and go put it on a jump pack. And all right, so we were able to get that problem taken care of. We have 12.6 volts, 12.6 volts, everywhere we need it. Awesome. Unfortunately, oh shit, I gotta pop that back in. Unfortunately, I was right about the amp. Look at that, we cannot hook the alternator up. If we hook the alternator up, it is gonna make sparks and blow fuses. Oh man, so if I come in here, we have a working radio. All right, so I don't know where I left off, but I pulled the alternator. I mean, if it was gonna happen, it was gonna happen. So we're gonna go ahead and finish this project up. I'm gonna get an alternator in the morning. It's like 3:30 in the morning now. But Josh said that amplifier has seen transmission fluid at some point, so it is what it is. So we got everything kind of neatened and tidied up. These things are just chilling here. There's no fuse in here, but we got this to here, little zip tie in the middle to separate them. Got those two down there, and then once we get the new amp, I'll cut this to length. I just no point in really cutting what's left, and then I have plenty of this 0 gauge wire left. But all in all, it's done. So I'm gonna throw the RCAs and get the signal wire in. I'm just gonna wire those in a while. This is getting 12.5 volts, so we'll just throw the new alternator on and then we're good, and then no more bullshit. Luckily, I thought I fucked up and I thought I did something wrong because I'm like, I swear this is positive. And yeah, I was right. I thought that after I did all that, it was ground. So it's like, no, we're good now. Everything's taken care of. We just need an alternator, and it is what it is. It's like 80 bucks, so I'm not super worried about it. And we're also going to go get grease and a fuel filter for Bertha. And then once we get the drive shaft on Friday, that truck's done. We're getting a one-piece drive shaft. So $1,000 better be fucking worth it. Yeah, so gonna get this interior pulled. We're just gonna, the radio and whatnot, and then probably run the RCAs up the middle and then the signal wire down the side. That way they are not corresponding. And the positive wire is down the right side of the car. So everything will be separated and we should not hear any random staticky noises. So this is gonna be super simple. I've already set myself up with the proper butt connector, and then we can clean this all up, throw everything back in here. So, I mean, this thing's relatively clean for what it is. I'll probably run the RCAs back through here and then down and then under the carpet and through all the way to the back. And then this wire here will be for the signal. So we'll do that through here. All right, so I was able to figure everything out. I got the amplifier situation all mounted up, all figured out. Definitely gonna have to get a new fuse, but I did try it. I think that fuse is not letting enough current through because like it's still there, but it's it's iffy. So the amp turns on, but then it shuts off. I did it with another battery separate over on the ground and was able to get it to go through its stuff. I will say it sucks that the setting stuff is all over here, but it is what it is. Get that latched. There we go. She's latched now. This guy fell as usual. I don't even care, to be honest. Those things are fine. This thing's all nice and sturdy. I'm gonna go grab the drive shafts, throw them in here. We got our measurement, get everything cleaned up, and then first thing in the morning, I'm gonna have my wife bring me an alternator at 7:30. It's 4:30 now. So I'm probably gonna take a couple hour nap and just call it a night. Yeah, that alternator really wasn't that bad. So there she is sitting. But for some reason, that thing is shorted straight to ground. I tried pulling it apart, didn't care enough, threw it back together, and there you go. All right, so wife's going to get our taxes done, and I'm impatient, so the alternator should be here. We're just going to take the bike, fuck it, because it is 40-something out, so it's actually pretty nice. So we're just going to take the bike down there, go get the alternator, swap it out, and then I'll put it in this, and then we got to run down to Mishar. I'm already putting this thing to use, but I do have a fuse. I have 6 fuses coming in. They'll be here tomorrow. And so I think what happened with this amplifier is the same thing that happened to this truck. So I put this inverter in this truck. It went great for a while. I didn't drive the truck for a month or so. I turned the inverter on and it fucking shut everything down on this truck. Like I sat there and I could crank for 15 minutes and it wouldn't start. I had to clear the codes, take the batteries off, and this and that. And anytime I'd hook that inverter up and turn it on, it would do that and just throw a bunch of check engine lights. So I pulled it out and I hooked it to a battery separate from the truck and let it turn on and do its thing. And then all of a sudden, now it works in the truck and I've been using it ever since. It's been almost, what, 6 months? So I think the same thing happened to this thing. It's been sitting so long. And I mean, or it's a coincidence that that alternator is shorted internally, because I've already checked and verified that like this is ground 100%. And it shouldn't be. Something is shorted inside that alternator, whether it was the amplifier that caused it or just in general. What are the chances that this just happened now when I disconnected the batteries for the first time? Like, that could have been really bad if it would have happened at any other time. All right, so this thing hasn't started in several months. I try to be responsible, but it is what it is. Let's see her fire up. Oh yeah. Alright, we got the unregistered plateless bike, and I went and got the alternator. We're gonna go swap the other one out in a little bit, just to show you guys I'm not bullshitting. 164 degrees, and you can see the mark on the tank from where I kept the box. So, man, this thing smells good. So let's get this fucking alternator swapped out. It's actually not bad. I mean, it's cold, but I think it's in the 40s. It's so tiny. Efficiency mode, full charge mode. Your vehicle is designed to operate using 2 charging modes. That's awesome. I didn't remember asking. This is a fucking 90s Honda. Ain't no 2 charging modes. All right, so we got the old one off. I even took the bracket, you guys can see right there. Took the bracket, mounted it on there, got the belt nice and tight. And yeah, I haven't done one of them in forever, so it took me a minute to figure that out. But just an adjuster screw and nut. Oh, speaking of that, I don't know if I ever put that nut back. Yeah, there's a nut on the end. So I got to figure out what I did with that nut. Hey, I found it. And then put that back on. See? It's been a long time since I forgot it, but I'm like, now that I'm explaining it. So we should do that, and then we should be able to start it, and then I'm going to put this thing back over in the spot over there. But that was fun riding. Definitely too cold. All right, now we got that nut on there. I knew I was forgetting something, so I'm going to throw this thing in the trunk. And let's go on a test drive. Well, she started up, and we clear. I'm going to get... I actually might do that real quick. Yeah, lad, fuck it. That actually looks pretty good. I'm glad I just did it now. There we go. Snap that out. And then, yeah, once the new fuse comes tomorrow, I'm going to put a zip tie around these. But those are where they need to be. This is where it needs to be. This one doesn't reach the wall. Otherwise, I would do that one too. But I think we did pretty good. And then I can probably build a little barricade around all of this. So we'll see. Someone also mentioned about putting something to protect the sub. We'll probably do that. Alright, so this is what she looks like without a battery. I gotta make a mount for this, or just get a different reservoir, which I'll probably do. But for the most part, I mean, it looks better. We have access down here. And hopefully we don't have any problems. So I'm driving the car now. I drove it out today to Mishar to go drop the drive shaft off and made a bunch of errands. I've probably put, I don't know, 60 miles on this thing so far, and it's been great. We have no lights on. Let me know what you guys think, the reason why that alternator just shorted out on the inside, because all I did was unhook everything and rehook it up back in the back. And I mean, I don't hide anything from you guys. Everything's there. It just, I don't know if it was the amplifier problem. Maybe that alternator was going bad in general and it was bound to happen. Who knows? But it was like 160 bucks. I got a new one and we are, yeah, I mean, we're pretty good now. Things running great. I got fuses coming in for the amplifier tomorrow, so we should have bass. And then at that point, we're gonna start working. I'm gonna get the header on order. Its parts are just gonna start rolling in here soon. We're hitting the road early February with the hot shot truck, just waiting on my one-piece drive shaft. So we're gonna have a ton of content over there, and then all the parts are just gonna start rolling in. I found a header that is a 4-to-1 that I'm gonna run on the car for now, and I'm gonna utilize that down pipe because it's just one big 2.5-inch pipe going down, and then get rid of the cat and do a 2.5-inch bottle resonator. And that should be a pretty decent setup. I'm also gonna modify it to make it an unequal length just for the cool noises, and then start purchasing the turbo parts. But realistically, within the next month or two, a few grand worth of parts should be rolling in, and I want this car done 100% so that we can start focusing on the motorcycle, because we are getting into racing season pretty soon. And I know it's only January now, but February, March is gonna start rolling around quicker than shit. So I'm gonna stop up here, check everything out, make sure everything's good, and then I will leave you with that. All right, let's see this thing in the light. Sub doesn't look like it got hit. Unfortunately, I gotta leave this in here, but this thing doesn't move. None of this stuff pulled out. Wiring looks good, so can't wait till that fuse comes so I have a subwoofer. But there you go. Wanted to come up here and check, make sure our bolt is good. It is, and that belt has plenty of tension on it, so I'd say we're good. I just gotta, like I said, make a mount for this, which I might just come off of here. I don't know yet, or like I said, we'll replace it, but that should do it.